Hello everyone, welcome back to our weekly classes and video tutorials. In this opportunity we're going to talk about the eyes. For that reason we're going to bring a beautiful friend that we all love, Jeremy. He's going to be our model tonight. So we're going to have an imaginary line coming center and center. The first line, it has to be placed right in the middle of the eye socket to the bottom of the jaw. So we got middle of the eye socket to the bottom of the jaw. Has to be exactly the same measurement between middle of the eye socket to the top of the head. When you place that line and you already have center line of the skull, then you come and you take a measurement that you think is going to be precise for your size of the figure that you're working on. Let's say that we're working on a life size. So we say more or less 2.5 to 3 centimeters as a width of the eye. Yeah. So let's say 2.5. So we place that's around the width of the eye that we're talking about. We place the first width of the eye in the center of that intersection of the two centered lines that we create in the imaginary centers that we place. So that's the first width of the eye. At the edge of each termination, then we place then the placement of the first eye location, if we can talk about that, and then the second eye. That having been placed like that, then we have 3 times the width of the eye in the same line, 3 times. So center is 1, second and third. Then we come to the fourth, 4 times the width of the eye is the rest of the temporal the temporal side and ear space when we talk about looking in from the front, and the 5th time is from the rest of the temporal side and the ear length or size, I would say. So having that said, is 5 times the width of the eye fits for the proportion of the skull or face. Mostly face, because the skull then come a little bit further out here. Anyway, but that's another class. So let's say that for the face we have this 5 times the width of the eye to get the right proportion. Then the same proportion for the width of the eye we come to for the bottom, from the bottom of the eye to the side of the nose. That's going to tell us how far the nostril should go. Then for the width of the nose is exactly the same width of the eye. So what we measure here and here, it should be the same length for the size of the nose. And we're gonna take that as the same thickness of the mouth. I think that is thickness. So the eyes are measurement proportion part, I would say. I don't know if that's correctly said, but yeah, the width of the eye will be our measurement. All right, perfect. So let's go for the next step. Say goodbye, Jeremy. See you soon, guys. All right, so we're going to start building our base for the sculpture. If everyone has the board, we're going to place kind of warmish clay on the base of the board to create. We're gonna go for a thickness more or less of 2 fingers up. And we're gonna create like a rectangle, squarish kind of shape. How big is up to you guys. You choose how big you're gonna work, depending on how much clay you got. We have to use a lot of clay this time because we're gonna go quite thick, so maybe medium-sized square, I would say. But yeah, just slowly, just add, not too big. The smaller you go, I mean, not too small anyway, but it will help for the clay to grip properly to the board. All right, so just keep on going. We want to work on it. All right, so fast forward, just creating a base for our sculpture. Just try to create, as I said, like a kind of a squarish rectangle or similar shape. Yeah, as big as you want it, but with enough space for you to work in all the details without going too small or too big, because that is just more work for you guys. All right, so first thing we're gonna try to think about, we need to create this section. Let's look at it with Jamie. We think about isolating this only section from the top of the frontal bone, halfway to the nasal bone, orbital and temporal. Yeah, those are the edges of this section. First thing, we're gonna work on the frontal side, which is the top of the eye socket. We want to create kind of the eyebrow shape, if we say something very rough description. Here in the skull, if you can see, let me try to focus more. Right, so we can see that this section right in the middle of the skull is a little bit more pronounced than the rest of the frontal bone. Yeah, on female skulls it's a little bit less pronounced than the male skull. So we want to work on that section right now, and want to create like a concave and convex contra shape. I'll explain in 2 seconds. All right, let's go back to our. So we're going to create that high point on the skull that we saw. But we are not going to stay only there. We're going to work on all the edge about the eye socket edge of that area. Yeah. We're going to keep this for the actual eye. If you're going to go a little bit higher, bigger, you can. I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger here as well. I'm going to go higher. In the way I don't end up with a small eye right there. You need to be patient, and it will make sense later on. Hope you guys warm the clay enough, but not to the point that you're gonna burn yourself. And also it gets too sticky, which my one is getting too sticky now. So there you go. I'm working in that purpose of creating more pronounced side. We can say that we can make like a masculine eye if we want to make it even more obvious, the pronunciation of the temporal side. Babella is the name of that section. Then we come in to the side of the nasal bone, and we kind of mimic that area without going into much detail. We're gonna keep that for other class. We're not gonna talk about nothing about the nose. We just pretend that it's there. We know it's there, but we're not talking about it now. It is important just because it gives the frame for what we're looking for in the construction of the eye. And I keep on working. Oh my God, my clay went too soft. Sorry, guys. What I should say, girls. Yeah. We just working bit by bit. Start working on the edge of the temporal here as well. Tiny little bit. It's not gonna be as big as the nasal. And then we come back and we mark some imaginary lines again. For all this structure, we really need those imaginary lines to start help us for the placement and location of each part. So let's say this first part of the temporal bone is going to be our let's say the highest point. This is going to be our highest point, and from there we count downwards to the bottom, to the lowest point that is going to be the bottom of the eyelid, the bottom eyelid. So from the highest point, right after the high point, it should come a concave, convex kind of shape. So the highest point is going to be convex, that is more round and pronounced, and right after we do the opposite. Right. Oh, this bloody clay is so hot. Wait 2 seconds. All right. All right. Having a much better clay now. So we were saying, working from the highest point, we working on a contraposition of shapes. So we got convex and concave. Underneath of the frontal bone of the eyebrow side comes a convex, a concave kind of shape here. And if you want to make it more pronounced, we can. We're going to work on that even later on more. So we have that part of the line first. We're saying from the highest point to the point up is the highest point as a convex shape here. Sorry. Then we come back. Alright, so we come back and then to the other side of the eye, and we create like a pronounced part as well, that we can make it look like one sec.